So former RBA trainer Tim Grover lays the smackdown on LeBron James like when WWF used to air on Thursdays and gives LeBron James the truth raw like WWF on Monday nights. But Tim Grover goes jigsaw on LeBron James. Tim Grover snatches the soul out of LeBron James's body and cooks it on the frying pan. And cooks it on the frying pan. But Tim Grover goes CJ from Grove Street, GTA San Andreas on LeBron James. He treats LeBron James' feelings like a doormat and steps all over them. But Tim Grover says that his former client, Michael Jordan, is in a class of his own and that LeBron James doesn't deserve to be compared to Michael Jordan whatsoever. But here's what Tim Grover had to say. This article is per Basketball Network and the headline reads, quote, "That comparison can't be made just from that alone," Tim Grover emphasized, while Michael Jordan will always be ahead of LeBron James. The article goes on to say, Tim Grover served as Michael Jordan's personal trainer for the better part of his prime. For him, it's understandable that people compare Jordan to LeBron James, but that doesn't mean it's valid. It went on to say, Grover admires James and his legacy, but he couldn't agree to the comparisons to MJ for various reasons. It says, for one, Grover believes Jordan's championship dominance was almost second to none. Because of Jordan's flawless finals career alone, Grover has already shut down comparisons with LeBron James. Ultimately, he suggested that fans and analysts alike should probably consider comparing James to any great player from his era rather than force a narrative alongside MJ. Tim Grover went on to say, quote, "Michael Jordan was 6 for 6 in the RBA finals. Never lost a finals, never needed a game 7 to do that." Grover began by saying, quote, "Just by saying that alone, that puts him in a category I don't think anybody else is in, except maybe a Bill Russell. Other than that, I don't know if you can really put Jordan in the same category with anybody." He went on to say, "I think the comparison for LeBron James should be more toward a current player he's playing against now because of what Michael already did in LeBron James in the early part of his career, faltered 2 times in the RBA finals," Grover pointed out. "I think that the Jordan-James comparison can't be made just from that alone." But Tim Grover is right. LeBron James doesn't deserve to be compared to Michael Jordan. LeBron James deserves to be compared to the Mason Plumlees of the world. He needs to be compared to the Brian Scalabrinis of the world. LeBron James needs to be compared to the Bronny James of the world, aka LeBummy James Jr. That's who LeBron James should be compared to. And a conversation that I don't think y'all Bron sexual lovers are ready to have is that I don't even think LeBron James is a better player than Jeremy Lin. I mean, could you imagine if Carmelo Anthony fully bought into the Jeremy Lin hype and they scripted Jeremy Lin's career like they did LeBron James and gave Jeremy Lin all the all-star premier teammates that LeBron James had throughout his discussionless career? Not illustrious career, but his discussionless career. Because LeBron James' career has been outright disgusting and disgraceful. Can you imagine if Jeremy Lin got the help of the RBA like LeBron James was able to have? LeBron James has gotten an easy ride all the way to the RBA finals and still has the most finals losses of any player in RBA history. If you replaced LeBron James with Jeremy Lin on that Miami Heat super team, you could have just handed Jeremy Lin the RBA trophy and just let him say, "Shishini," because they would have for sure won all 4 of the finals that the Miami Heat super team advanced to. Jeremy Lin is a better player than LeBron James. Jeremy Lin has a better jump shot than LeBron James. Jeremy Lin is a better scorer than LeBron James, has better ball handling skills than LeBron James. I mean, it's just that Jeremy Lin didn't have better opportunities than LeBron James. I remember LeBron James used to get comparisons to Magic Johnson early in his career because Magic Johnson was a pass-first player. But throughout LeBron James' career, when has he ever been a pass-first player? LeBron James has always sold the illusion of being a pass-first player just so he could give the impression that he's a great team player. But the Cavs GMs have always built teams and added talented players that suits LeBron James' game. Even in his first stint with the Cavaliers, they added shooters who can hit shots. Once LeBron James gets a screen, we all know LeBron James' style of play, same typical blacktop game. He gets a screen, he drives through the lane, and he can kick it out to his shooters when the lane is clogged up. And that style has worked for the Russell Westbrooks of the world, which is why Russell Westbrook led the OKC Thunder to the playoffs when Kevin Durant left. It worked for John Wall, which is why John Wall had so much success with the Washington Wizards. So when people say LeBron James never had help, it's just that LeBron James, throughout his first stint with the Cavs, LeBron James has always had help. It's just that LeBron James gets all the praise, and by him getting all the praise, it didn't give other players a chance to build their name, because LeBron James gets all the credit. But LeBron James shouldn't even be compared to anyone in his era, because the players in his era were better than him and accomplished more with less, such as Steph Curry, who was a unanimous MVP winner, by the way, something that LeBron James has never done. Kobe Bryant is a better player than LeBron James. Kawhi Leonard is a better player than LeBron James, who defeated LeBron James in the RPA Finals. Giannis Antetokounmpo is better than LeBron James. Nikola Jokic, etc., is better than LeBron James. I mean, LeBron James is not even a better player than Kevin Durant. Now let's talk about a conversation that really shouldn't even be a conversation. LeBron James and Michael Jordan. I mean, this is the worst conversation of all time. It's like having a conversation about a dog's breath. I mean, who wants to just sit around and talk about whether a dog has bad breath or not? I know I don't, because it's pointless. However, I would much rather talk about a dog's breath than to entertain a conversation about LeBron James being compared to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is just on another stratosphere than LeBron James. Michael Jordan played against better competition in the RPA Finals than LeBron James, and won every time without going to a Game 7. See, for LeBron James, it took for him to come back from being down 3-1 in order to feel, as he said, the greatest. When I came back from being down 3-1, that made me the greatest. But Michael Jordan never allowed for a team to go up 3-1 because he was just that good. LeBron James, he even blew a 2-1 lead against an inexperienced finals team in the Golden State Warriors back in 2015. LeBron James needed one legacy-defining moment to be considered the greatest. Michael Jordan's entire career was legacy-defining moments, and he proved that he was the greatest from the time he entered the league to the time he exited the league. LeBron James literally had help from the RPA to come back from being down 3-1. Let's just hypothetically say MJ was down 3-1. Michael Jordan wouldn't call on the league and say, hey, Adam Silver, I need your help. I need you to send me some help to pull off this comeback, just so they could spark a conversation in the GOAT debate that I'm better or in the same conversation as MJ. Michael Jordan wouldn't have pushed for Draymond Green to be suspended. He wouldn't have tried to get Steph Curry foul out in Game 6 to have an advantage. He wouldn't have had one of his teammates purposely injure Andrew Bogut, a conversation that nobody wants to talk about. Michael Jordan would have took it one game at a time and smoked the Warriors. But even if Michael Jordan never won a ring, he still would be a far better player than LeBron James.